So what is going on with this neighborhood, Ryan? What's the deal?
Well, there's 78 lots that they've just put in this above the mountain road here in Fruit Heights.
That's pretty.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Really beautiful views.
See all the way to Salt Lake. See all the way out to Tooele. If you want to.
I mean, if you want to. Ogden, Tooele, Salt Lake view. This is probably the only point where you get the entire valley. That's beautiful.
Wide spectrum. I think the lots go from about 400 to 800.
What size of the lots?
Third acre to acre, over an acre.
And this isn't bad. I mean, some of these neighborhoods up on the hill, it feels like you got to drive 40 minutes to get to your house.
No, you got 89.
The access. You're right there.
89 off-ramp right here.
Really? It's not bad. The sound is not, I mean, it's busy right now, and I can't really.
Yeah, this would be rush hour noise. Obviously, noise carries up a little bit, but
with no houses, no trees, that's not bad.
And there's not many subdivisions in Davis County even available. This is probably the only one that's got lots even available right now.
Well, and a big development too. It's not every builder that you're going to have build this house. You're buying a lot for, what did you say, 3 to 7?
Yeah.
As a starting point.
Yep.
So you're buying from 3 to 7. I mean, what's your house going to look like? I mean, you're building what?
If you're
5 to 8,000 square feet.
Minimum, you're probably in this neighborhood. Minimum, you're probably 1.6, 1.7. Yeah. I'm guessing.
You think finished or build cost?
With lot, house finished, maybe not landscaped, but if you got in here at 1.5, I think you'd be doing probably the house yourself. You'd probably you've built the home yourself.
You got your paintbrush and your tile. And
yeah.
Okay.
But I think one of the people that are building in the neighborhood said that they bought a lot for about 500, and they're building about a 6,000 square foot home, and they're 2.5.
Okay. So that's probably about what you're looking at in this neighborhood on average, I would think. Is
and that's
in that range.
To the nines, all the nicest amenities, all the nicest finishes. But that's you're probably 2 million range all the way up to probably 6 or 7. There'll probably be some $6 or $7 million homes in here.
Wow. Are you better to be the first house in a subdivision like this, or be like the 25th out of 70, or be the 70th out of 70? What's the value?
So that's a great question. I moved into a neighborhood in Fruit Heights called Hidden Springs, and I was there probably the second, maybe third year that the neighborhood had been in existence.
What year was that?
That was probably 2008. Right?
Okay, so right before everything went crazy, right?
Right in the crazy time.
Kind of in the midst of it.
So the people that were there first, I would say they got the pick. They got the pick of the premier lots. So as years have gone on, you'd talk to so-and-so and they're like, well, yeah, when we got here, we were the first or the second or the third people to look at the plat map and pick whatever lot
we got the cool view lot, or we got the lot with the big flat yard or whatever.
And I think as time went on, lots kept getting more expensive. So if lots back then were $250, towards the end of the neighborhood, they climbed to $275, $300. Okay. So the guys that got there early, they probably got a little bit of equity,
a little bit better price.
And you could probably pick out what style you wanted and not worry that you were replicating somebody else's style. Yeah. So
kind of set the tone maybe a little bit.
There's advantages both sides. I mean, like I say, I sold quite a few homes in that neighborhood over the years, and people would come in and see one house and one style and maybe take some ideas from that, but then they just create their own.
If you're coming in like the middle of a development like that versus the end of a development, is there an advantage or a disadvantage to that?
The other kind of cool thing is and I've lived in a couple neighborhoods, but that started out fairly young. If you got in, it seemed like everyone was kind of in it at the same time.
You all grew your families together.
They're all new. If they were going to a church, they all were kind of going to the same one for the first time.
Kids are probably the same age going to school.
If they were going to school, we all live up in such and such neighborhood. Now I've had a neighborhood that I lived in Syracuse that I was one of the last. There was 2 lots that were left, and I was one of the last neighbors or people to move in there. And I don't know that I loved that. I felt like I had come late to the party.
Oh, okay.
Everyone knew everybody. Everyone already had a little bit of history. Everybody already kind of had some friend groups already kind of lined up.
You're trying to kind of...
we made it work.
Work your way in there.
And we liked it, and we built our home. But I think kind of starting out at the beginning of a neighborhood, everyone's kind of on the same the same, sheet of music.
What's the, I keep hearing this bandied around, like you become the average of the 5 people you spend your most time with?
Yeah. I mean, every neighborhood that I've lived in, I've loved, but every neighborhood that I kind of, I guess, leveled up, if you will, it seems like the people around me buoyed me up, and I learned from them, and it made me want to achieve more.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I wasn't complacent or idle.
So when you're helping people move into, so they're moving from a, $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 house, which is going to be a beautiful house, into the 1.5 or the $2.5 million home. When I'm talking to people in that category, their concerns are, obviously the financial part, because that's the part I'm working with. They're concerned about what's the payment going to be, can I afford it, is it going to fit my budget?
Yeah.
And what I find most of the time, if people are serious buyers at that level, and they obviously know how to do math, or they wouldn't have the option of buying at that level most often, but they've got a pretty conservative viewpoint of money, which is great, but there's still a lot of opportunity to maybe trim the fat a little bit.
Sure.
And so moving into an area that maybe is, and I experienced this too, maybe a little bit uncomfortable to get into at the beginning. I've seen a lot of people just sort of realize very quickly that it wasn't that uncomfortable, right? Like kind of learn how to do things a little differently, and suddenly you realize, where you're putting your money can be better spent. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I mean, you step into the unknown. Anytime you step into something that you're not familiar with, it's gonna be scary. I remember, again, the house that I lived in before, probably $500,000. I'd come from a $200,000 house. I remember just staring at the ceiling at night, going, "What have you done to yourself?" And then it was probably 3 or 4 years later.
Yeah.
I built a detached garage on the house, finished the yard. I mean, it was fine. It was all comfortable. Then all of a sudden, as soon as I got comfortable with that, we found a neighborhood in Fruit Heights, bought a lot, and went from a $500,000 to $1 million home. And again, same thing. I laid up at night, going, "What have I done to myself?"
What are we doing?
And again, I don't want to tell anybody and everybody just to go
bury yourself in
get
debt.
in debt. I mean,
No,
it has to be,
no, that's
it
not
has
what you're
to be
saying, no.
calculated. I mean, I knew I could afford it, but I think to your point, maybe it caused me to not just go out and be frivolous with, we weren't going out to dinner every night. Maybe
Yeah.
I kind of started thinking, where should I spend my money? Oh, okay, I guess I can't buy that car. I'll put it towards the house.
Yeah. Buy some rocks and landscaping.
Force savings into something that's appreciating versus
Yeah, that's a
buying
good
all the
point.
stupid toys and things that sometimes go down the drain in value.
Well, we talked about this before too, but I think when you're buying at this kind of price range, it's not. My experience is people that are buying at this price range, it's not because it makes financial sense. Because if you're trying to make financial sense out of it, say, what's going to be a good investment, take your $2.5 million and go buy 5 rental homes.
Yeah.
But if so you're really buying what quality of life, neighborhood, the view, you're spending your money in this way because you want to.
You're not going to come in this neighborhood and get into it at 700, 800,000.
Yeah.
Just because you only need 4,000 square feet, so therefore that's all I'm going to build.
Yeah.
To be in this neighborhood, you're probably minimum going to be in a 6,000 square foot home, and maybe there's 2 of you or 3 of you. So you're going, why do I need that big of a house? Well, again, if you want to have these type of amenities, these type of location, there's kind of an entry fee.
Yeah, that's
and the
true.
entry fee starts with probably 6,000 square feet. Now, whether you ever use it, but you get to benefit from the neighbors, from the location, the proximity to highway, freeway access, shopping, all the parks. I mean, there's a mountain bike course that they just put in right here at the base of the subdivision.
This is proximate to everything, really. Like, I'm just looking at this. I'm kind of surprised at how accessible this neighborhood is.
I mean, the house I'm in, more square footage than I need. I don't even go to the basement. My kids have all moved out. But again, if I move to a smaller square footage,
You'd lose the amenities.
I'd lose the amenity.